Hi everyone, it's Sandy and today I'm doing a spring reads recommendation. I don't often do recommendations videos because I just feel like wrap-up videos are pretty much like recommendations video, but I really want to do like a spring themed recommendations video, so here it is. I tried to pick some books from different genres that I think would be great to be read during the spring season. The first two books that I'm going to recommend are like mystery thriller books, and the first one is The Perfectionist by Sarah Shepard. This book follows 5 girls who don't really have much in common except for the hatred towards the same guy named Nolan. Nolan has done terrible things to each of these girls, and in one of their classes that they have all together, they come up with this hypothetical plan to kill him, and then he ends up dead at a party that he hosted in the exact same way that they planned, but the thing is, none of them did it. If you like the whole vibe of Pretty Little Liars, I think you would really enjoy this book. This is the first in a duology. This is a book that you'll definitely get through really fast. There's some really interesting drama and a lot of unexpected things that happen. And the next one that I'm going to be talking about is Dangerous Girls by Abigail Hawes. This book follows Anna, who goes to Aruba with a bunch of her friends for spring break, and one day during this trip her best friend is murdered and she becomes the main suspect and the defendant in the trial that arises. This is a book that will keep you constantly engaged. When I was reading this, I did not want to put this book down, and I want to give a shout out to Brandon from Brandon the Book Addict for constantly talking about this book, because I probably wouldn't have picked it up if it weren't for him constantly talking about that book. So if you're having one of those days where you don't want to go outside, just pick this book up and you will most likely read this book in one sitting if you have nothing to do. Now I'm going to talk about a few contemporary books. The first one is Tiny Pretty Things by Sona Charapotra and Danielle Clayton. I've been talking about this book in the past few videos of mine, so most of you probably know what it's about, but in case you don't know, this book follows 3 girls who attend this very exclusive Manhattan ballet school. There's a lot of drama and backstabbing in this book, but it was a really good read. Every time I talk about this book, I talk about the diversity, because there is a lot of diverse aspects within this duology. We have characters who are women of color. One main character is black, another main character is biracial, she's half Korean and half white, and this book also deals with a wide range of issues. For example, racial identity, eating disorders. It's really worth the read, and despite all the like backstabbing and drama, which did add a little element of like suspense and a little bit of mystery, because some of the incidents that occur in this book you don't know who did it, so it could be anyone. Some of these girls are willing to do anything to bring someone down so that they can rise to the top, and it's definitely a really interesting read. So the next book is Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. This book follows Emmy, and she's a set designer living in LA. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about this book, but this was a really fun and cute read. I've always been really fascinated by the behind the scenes of filmmaking, and this book definitely gives you an insight. Since Emmy is a set designer, you see her doing her job. You see her going to different places trying to find different furniture pieces to put in a set. It was just so interesting to read about, and I also really loved her friendship with Charlotte. They had a really strong friendship, and I loved seeing them together and them interacting with one another. Also, there is a female-female romance in this book. I really love seeing how that relationship developed, and it was just a really cute read. So if you're in the mood for something lighthearted, fluffy, and nothing super serious, then definitely check this book out. The next book I'm going to recommend is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. I believe this book is considered a novella, so it's a really short read. I'm pretty sure it's like 160 pages, so it's super short. If you're in the mood for a really quick read, definitely read this book. This book takes place in a home where people who have traveled to magical worlds have returned and are struggling with coping, so they're living in this home trying to adjust back to the real world. There's also a lot of diverse aspects in this book. We have people of different sexual orientations. Our main character, Nancy, is asexual. There's also a character who's trans. There's also characters from different racial backgrounds, which is awesome. There's also a bit of a mystery aspect in this book. Next, I want to recommend History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. This book follows Griffin, whose ex-boyfriend Theo has just passed away in a drowning accident. Throughout the story, Griffin reminisces on his past with Theo, and obviously he's grieving Theo's death, but he's also struggling with his worsening OCD, which I think was portrayed really well. This is a fantastic book. This is actually the first book that I read in 2017, and it's definitely one of my favorites. I do have a full review on this book, so I will leave that down below for you to check out if you're interested. I think this is a great book to read when it's like a rainy day and you don't want to go outside. You just want to stay at home and read while listening to the sound of rain pouring. The tone of this book is similar to the atmosphere of a gloomy and rainy day, so I think this is a good one to read when it's raining outside. And the last book I'm going to recommend is Starflight by Melissa Landers. This book takes place in space, and it follows 2 characters who are basically enemies from the very start. This is a book that has that hate turn to love trope, which I personally really love. And these two characters end up on a spaceship together and they have to work together in order to survive. This was definitely a really fun read. I also really enjoyed the main girl character, Solara. She was really like tough and determined and headstrong. I really loved her interactions with Doran, who is the main love interest. It was just a really enjoyable read. This is a great book to pick up if you're in the mood to read something that takes place in space.